Moonstone Island is a creature collecting life sim set in an open world with 100 islands to explore. Make friends, brew potions, collect spirits, and test your strength in card-based encounters to complete your alchemy training. If you stick around to the end, you can see how these guys are the true eldritch horror of the game, and not this guy. So sit back, relax, and enjoy my 100 days of Moonstone Island. Starting off, we have got to do chores. This gives us an introduction into the basic controls, picking some crops, and how to gather seeds. Also, we get this neat way to cycle through our tools. Of course, once the seeds are planted, we gotta water them. After the chores, we get a medallion that houses some spirits, kinda like our starting Pokemon. We got Shemp, a fire spirit, Capacity, the electric spirit, who looks like a bee, and Ankleo, the earth spirit. Looks like a mini dinosaur. I choose Capacity because he looks like a bee.
You like jazz?
After picking our spirit, our father tells us not to worry as they will take care of the other two, and we get our first taste of the combat system. So really quickly, we got armor, health, and energy. If we reduce the armor of the enemy, they become stunned for a round and we can deal extra damage to them. We also only have 3 energy for our turn. Reducing the enemy health to 0 means we win. Seems simple enough. Also, if we get too low, we can feed our spirit some healing foods to help them. Essentially, we are heal scumming. A couple more rounds and our boy levels up. Looks like we get some loot along with some spare change. Our father then explains how we can also tame the spirits with flax instead of beating them into submission. Talking to mom, she wants us to eat something to help recover our stamina. Thanks for looking out for us, mom. Remember kids, love your mom. She then goes on to explain how the medallion will house any spirits we tame up to 3 and we can enter the medallion anytime we want. We then enter the medallion and level the B-boy up. Gotta level up the attack of course for more damage and get another tackle card. Then feed him a little to regain all of his health. For our going away, our parents give us a couple more things. Looks like we are following our parents' footsteps of becoming an alchemist. We tell our parents we are going to do our best, and it's now time to set out on our broom. While the world is generating, consider subscribing and liking the video. We are close to 500, and if you're already subscribed, thank you so much. Couldn't have done this without you guys. After traveling for a bit, we hit some high winds and come crashing down. We lose all our tools and now gotta go around collecting them. Also, would you look at that, our spirit is following us. Pretty cool. Unfortunately, before we can finish gathering everything, we pass out and awaken in someone's bed, or besides the bed, I guess. Seems like Osano was the one who saw us crashing and decided to get us under a roof to help us. We are offered the room in case we need a place to sleep, but will be charged rent eventually. She also returns the tools we couldn't pick up. She recommends heading north to set up our base. Talking to Osono again, she gives us the blueprint for our cell crate. Essentially, it works the same as the selling bin in Stardew. We get a new quest from Osono to gather some stone to help rebuild her basement. Seems we can already ask her on a date, but I'll save that for later. Talk to Guyana, who seems to run the conservatory. Seems like they have an automatic mail delivery system. We already received some mail from Mom and a blueprint for a balloon since she had a dream of us breaking our broom already. Thanks for looking out for us, Mom. Reading some mail, the Alchemist Guild welcomes us as a new alchemist and reminds us to not eat spirits, or form an army of spirits to overthrow the government. Exploring around town, gathering whatever I find. Find Rowan, who runs the general store. So talking gives us some options to do that can succeed or not succeed. I succeed in my chat. Nice. Talk to Cleo, the resident historian and scholar. Talk to Paolo, who does the carpentry around town. Find Tobin, the local fisherman, and he wants us to find some legendary fish for him to display. Also, I find this treasure map just laying on the ground. Maybe later on we can use it to find some treasure. Looks like this town even has an onsen bath, and we meet Farah there, the town's local blacksmith. He gives us a quest to find some copper for her, and in exchange he will get a furnace blueprint. I then go into this dark tunnel and meet this green guy. Walking up to him doesn't do anything, so I just leave. Maybe we will find out later what that's about. Run into Quill, then Zed, who runs the science center. He wants us to tame some spirits for him to research. Eventually we can help him out. Before it gets too dark, decide to put my tent down and look at that. A bed is already in here.
What kind of place is this?
Change into my sleepwear and it's off to bed we go. In the morning, we receive another mail from Osana, which looks like to be a newsletter telling us to meet everyone in town. Also, the town is Moonstone Island, the name of the game. Decided to test my tools out on some trees and rocks. Put some seeds down that Mom gave us. Funny enough, while smashing some rocks, this mine appeared. Inside we have access to some copper and iron. After running out of energy, decided to visit the town some more. This building is Guyana and Ophelia's shop where we can buy some seeds. I then happen upon this warp whistle, where using it warps me back to the statue. Nice, I unlock fast travel. Just as I thought, sitting in the onsen recovers energy. Finding this shrine, it looks to give us a talisman which seems to be a little boost for one of our spirits. So to recover even more energy, you can take a nap just like in real life. Just don't sleep too long. To round out the day, did a little more mining and created a cell crate. Looks like the crate is a one-way trip, can't get my items back. I also crafted a balloon, now I can go to other islands. My stone sold for a pretty penny. Water my plants and then in the mines found some new spirits to fight.
I'm in danger!
Unfortunately, it was a 2v1 battle and my capacity was getting whooped. So did the great thing of taming them instead. Dusty obviously looks like the coal spirits from Spirited Away. Also tamed the Mumbleweed because, why not, need more team members. At the end of the mine, the chest holds some resources and a new blueprint for a torch. Thankfully, the mine doesn't collapse with the chest looted, so I can keep mining the resources inside. Taking a quick nap, I then use my balloon to get to a nearby island. You can see them on the map or the minimap. This island seems to hold some ruins and we then meet the Magic Man, who explains this is an old temple and to unlock it we have to find a key, the Earth Seal. With nothing else on this island, headed back to camp and took a look at my tame spirits. Looks like both my new spirits are Earth Boys. With a new day upon us, I decided to head north with my balloon. Seems like a normal island. Found the teleporter, which takes me to a harder level island. And I get a warning about being low level. Time to leave. And then fight the spirit Papus. 3v1 makes it a pretty easy fight. Look at that, multiple levels for everyone. Tame this cool slime along the way. Quickly level everyone up, head into the tunnel, and with the balloon I can now traverse the gaps. So eventually it clicks that these are dungeons, which is why it holds a bunch of chests and spirits. Also, that dude in the front is a guardian, who we have to defeat to get the last of the loot. Thankfully, with heals coming, it's a win for us. We then get a chest full of goodies, and the tree gives us strength, increasing our stamina. After a good night's rest from the dungeon, we read the town's newsletter and get some money from Osono for helping with her basement. 500 coins worth. Nice. Sell Farah the copper, and now we can make furnaces. She now wants us to smelt her some iron bars. Turning in our spirit research to Zed, we get over 3,000 coins. We rolling in the money now.
Daddy, yes!
This is also where our extra spirits are stored. Quickly leveled up my spirits, and I switched out Mumbleweed for Cool Slime. Create our first furnace and get some iron smelting. Made a second furnace for double the furnace power. Since we cleared the mine of the treasure, we can now close it. But reading this warning, I assume each island only gets one mine, so I'm gonna leave this mine open in case I need the resources inside. We covered some energy in the hot springs, and then it was time to tackle the dungeon in town. This one has some teleport pads and these plant shooty things. Getting hit by the plants just reduces stamina. I also figured out I can pick up the chest after looting, so free chests. Then we fight the Guardian. Another guardian down and another tree absorbed. In bed, it seems like we get a tech tree for our different skills. We currently have a point for spirits, chose Tame Adept to increase our chance of taming spirits. In the morning, Zed sent us a letter and some goggles for helping look at spirit levels in the wild. Gathering our bars gives us the satisfying sound. Another letter from Zed, and as thanks for taming a spirit for him, he gives us a spirit barn to keep and raise more spirits. He also talks about making space in the science center with some proprietary tech to house our spirits. So not only can you smelt copper and iron, you can smelt these moonstones into moonstone bars. I then traveled north again to a new island. Looks like a beach. This one holds water spirits naturally. Traveling back, I ran out of energy. So that's how my day ended. Another letter from Zed wanting more stuff to research. We then get fed with the 3 iron bars and gain an anvil blueprint in return. So for upgrading our tools, instead of turning them in and waiting a few days like Stardew, we just have to buy them and they are instantly available. So spent 4 grand upgrading the hammer and axe. Then went and bought a fishing rod from Tobin. Let's try out fishing. For the fishing minigame, all we gotta do is keep our circle cursor above the fish. Seems simple enough. After fishing, went to the east part island. Seems like a normal island, but couldn't figure out how to cross the water, so floating back we go. Bedtime we get another upgrade for foraging, and I get linked to the grass, which means we can get a few coins 50% of the time when cutting grass. Plants are finally ready to be harvested, and after harvesting, time to add on even more plants. I also figured out the power of the bridge. Bridges can be used to transverse water, of course, but most importantly, they can be used to transverse the sky. If you have enough, you can even reach the other islands. I didn't, so still gotta use the balloon. Using what little bridges I could make, I was able to cross the water around and even found another teleporter stone thingy. This time traveling to an electric island, where after a few seconds I get shocked and lose some stamina. So after exploring a little bit, ran back because being constantly shocked sucked. Captured a worm and an apple. While smashing some rocks, found another mine. Woo, more resources. This chest holds a mailbox blueprint. This one held the recipe for our stone path. With the day ending, decided to run back, but outside I met something interesting.
What the fuck is that? Oh.
That's right, it's Magic Man's house. Looks like he sells cards and talismans for our spirits. Also, it was raining stars, but nothing interesting happened, so mostly ignored it. Bedtime and another upgrade for us, this time in archaeology, and I upgrade Rock Smack, which means sometimes adjacent rocks sometimes break. Morning set a couple of ores to smelt, then went on a path of deforestation for more bridges. Reading a new letter from Rowan, he opened up a community chest for people to deposit items they don't need. Checking it out, we gained some drowsy danglers. I mean, free is free. Made the decoration station, which sounds exactly what it does. Makes decorations for our home. Then making the Moonstone enchanter, we can now make items that require Moonstones. So naturally, we remade the broom we broke from our parents. Then made a spirit nest thinking I could keep it inside my home to hatch eggs. Couldn't place it down and neither the spirit stall. Guess I'll just hold on to these for later. Decided my next step was the spirit barn. So back to deforesting and leveling the air around us. Got distracted wanting to test our broom, but hey, it's a lot faster than the balloon. We also completed the last piece of the bridge from the other island. We were just a little off from it being straight. This time we get a point in social. I get great listener to help raise our relationship points 5% faster. Gains. A little more deforesting and leveling the area. We have enough resources for the spirit bond. Would you look at that? It's a big old tree. Inside is just a bunch of empty spaces, but for these spaces we can put the feeding troughs and nests if we want to hatch eggs. Look at that, the first egg of the playthrough. Using some of my iron ingots, I then crafted an anvil. Looks like we can craft a bunch of different talismans. Too bad I have none of these resources. Tried using my broom to reach the beach island, but failed to do so just barely. Are you serious? This time using the island next to it, we can reach the top to get to the shrine. Another foraging upgrade, this time getting Moonstone minded, which gives us a chance to get Moonstones in chests. Taking a look at our map, we can tell there is an island just right of the beach one, so the plan today is to reach it. Another shrine obtained, and we meet Magic Man again. We find another teleport, and this time we get to an island that's burning. Tried harvesting some local crops, but couldn't as we need a better scythe. I also figured out that you can use the scythe on the wild crops to get seeds to increase the seed count. Looks to be another dungeon on this island, we will save that for later. Tried fishing to see if we would get anything different, this time a gold jewel fish and a gold pizza fish. Looks like our parents sent us a letter about collecting moonstones and that only one moonstone appears on each island. So I just noticed that each spirit kind of has a passive, if you read them in the storage. Like some help with battles, some help with exploring, and some even help with social stuff. Thought it was pretty interesting, and that gives us a reason to go and collect the different spirits. With a bunch of seeds collected, planted a bunch around me. I even decided it was time to set up a proper farming area instead of just having it next to the tent. Look at that, set up a proper little garden. Next morning, Rowan sends us a letter talking about drawing inspiration about how we live in harmony with the spirits and wants us to pair spirits up with the townsfolks, just like how they did in the old times. Then made myself a new mailbox just so I wouldn't have to go into town to see if I have any new mail. Watering my plants is taking a lot of stamina, so eventually I'll be adding sprinklers to the garden. But not today. Leveled up my spirits as I've been putting that off. I then sent off Cool Slime since I feel like he's been dragging the team down. Sorry, Cool Slime. I then replace him with Vormir as he will cut down grass for us. Time to test him. Look at him go. I honestly wasn't feeling Vormir, so I replaced him with Flufffox, who will increase the chance of our social stuff succeeding. Essentially, he's our wingman, coaching on how to do stuff. I then decided to feed Capacity a bunch of talismans from the shrines. Another level for spirits continuing into beginner spiritmancer. We can now tame higher level spirits. Our first combat upgrade, some way into beginner cartomancer, which will increase the chance of uncommon cards showing up when our spirits level. Looks like Palo will be our first townsfolk to be paired with a spirit. He wants to be paired with a wooden spirit. He promises not to turn them into a chair. Using one of those treasure maps I've been gathering, I recognize that one of the islands we've been to has treasure on it. Holding the area around the X, we get some treasure and it yields a boot recipe. Looks like we get a notification when our spirit hatches. That's nice of them. A letter from our parents checking in on us and making sure we're doing good. Look at that, we hatched out this pot guy. Chimina? Seems if we hatch out the egg, we can allocate its points to the standards we want. I then went around setting up a bunch of stalls because we got a bunch of eggs to hatch. With my extra copper, was able to upgrade the scythe and the hoe. With the upgraded scythe, we can now grab the seeds on the electric islands. While exploring, Magic Man decides to visit us, and I actually noticed in his shop the talisman he sells. So now every time Magic Man comes around, we can get a talisman. Looks like we still need a higher level scythe to get the Fire Island plants. Another point in combat, we continue into Intermediate Cartomancer. Seems as Ozono was clearing out her basement, she found an old cookbook. So she gives it to us, thinking we might like to cook. We also get plans for our prep station and a stove. Zed also congrats us on hatching our first spirit and gives us a Moongrass spirit stall, which never needs to be refilled because magic. Too bad to take Moonstones to build, and those are in short supply. But I made one just to see how it works. Tended to the garden, then checked out the cookbook. Seems like different foods can give you buffs. A little mining and grinding, tending around the base, then put points into Moonstonemancer and Flirty. After clearing the inventory, went exploring to more islands. These spirits are perfect for grinding up my current team. Using the whistle to return home, we then give Paulo his spirit Oaken, which boosts our relationship to a full heart. As thanks, we gain a Loom blueprint. Wanting to try out a new spirit, I started using Snorkel. After some deforesting, made the prep station and oven. Prep station obviously allows us to make the basic ingredients for meals. Oven cooks the meals. Another point into Novice Spiritmancer, now we can tame spirits up to level 20. Zed and Cleo seem to have found some ancient text about a great spirit that lives in the hot springs. He wants to throw a festival so we can possibly offer it gifts and receive blessings in return. The festival will be held on the 21st at 2000. I also find it interesting that the game uses a 24-hour clock or military time, just a neat detail. Decided it would be a good time to clear one of the water temples. We also tamed our Starcy. Seems we can finally get more Moonstones from the chest. Our health was running low before we could fully clear it, but we will be back soon. Tried cooking some food before going to bed. Point into Expert Cartomancer for chances as secret cards. Waking up and our food is burnt. Guess we can't just let it cook while sleeping. I wanted to expand the farm, so these fences I put down have to go. Made some sprinklers so I don't have to water every day. After some more talking to Farrah, we finally gain our first heart with her. I then upgraded the hammer with the iron bars. While clearing another water dungeon, tamed an octopup and can now make a gingerbread house. So these twisty lines mean you have to pick a skill between the two. Another point into Rock Smash, then got Caring Person to gain 10% more relationship points. Give it up for day 20, woo! Full heart with Ozono. So as you gain more hearts with the town folks, the chatting actions get easier. After mining away the day, climbing up from the mine, we are met with a storm. With the storm, we find our first psychic spirit, a Rablet, which I naturally tame. Wanted to tame this Posho, but had no more taming food, so had to banish him. Then off to bed so we can upgrade. 1 point into one step ahead so I can make my way to energy boost. Then got Scallywag so I can fish up treasure chests. Looks like Tobin wants a spirit that has a snorkel. Shouldn't be too hard to find him one. Traveling around, I found a poison island and of course poison spirits. We are then introduced to the poison mechanic. So poison will stack on the spirit and then deal half the stack at the beginning of the turn, then reduced by 1. Doesn't help that 2 of my spirits are weak against poison. A lot of island exploring opening the map. I like how the game will give you a notification about events happening just to remind you and not miss them. Using the whistle to get home, I then make some magic grass to give as an offering. Look at how nice the festival is. As I was mashing the spacebar, I accidentally attended the festival with Chloe without talking to everyone else. Oh well, at least we have a full heart now with her. With the spirit showing itself, we then give it the magic grass. Seems to like our offering, and we gained a bunch of stuff. Cleo thanks us for attending the festival with her and sends us a letter that the town will put all the goodies into the community chest. How nice of them. First sell Zed a piece of sea glass we got from our water spirit. Now he's got something to display in the exhibit. Check out Rowan's store and looks like he sells fertilizer and seeds. Then take a look at the community chest. Look at all these talismans, and we also got a special egg from the ancient spirit. Lastly, a statue in his honor. Selling some seeds to Guyana, they will buy them for a good price, and also the seeds will be available in the general store tomorrow. Nice. Got the egg quickly placed so we can hatch him. Explored the southern area of the islands, nothing too noticeable. Then some fishing to finish the day off. Tried my hand at cooking again, making sure not to burn my dish, and we made some fried rice. Since we found a psychic spirit, Zed gives us a Moonstone detector. Our compass will now glow blue if the island holds a Moonstone, so now we don't have to run around at night to check. Thanks, Zed. The blue is pretty noticeable, but you still gotta find the stone. Another dungeon cleared and an additional 10 energy. Coming up from the dungeon, we are met with a psychic storm, and we were able to tame a Toro and a Looney Lid. We didn't make it home, so pass out in the grass, but hey, another point into energy boost. With our spirits hatching, we got a brick house. With all my extra money, upgraded the axe and the scythe. A point into Tame Pro. Traveling east, we find another dungeon on a water island. This time it's just a bunch of mini bosses. I like that there are different dungeon designs. Another point into Spirit Farmer, Weak Link, and Propagator. That dark egg finally hatched, and look, it's a mini version of the Hot Spring Spirit. He seems to be a psychic spirit. After leveling him up a little, then went exploring some more. With our upgraded scythe, we can now gather up the seeds on Fire Island. We then fight some fire spirits and get introduced to the burn mechanic. The burn mechanic works the same as the poison mechanic, but instead of reducing by 1 each turn, it reduces by half. Thankfully, with our water boy, not too bad of a fight. And we even got a Flaming tame. Then found this poison island that's a big maze. Couldn't find a way in, so off the island, and eventually we find the water temple, aka the summer temple. Out of energy, level up the spirits, and a point into trader. With the summer temple discovered, I remembered the spring temple existing and went to go clear it. Look at this long boy. Of course, him being a new spirit, we tamed him. With the first spirit cleared, we gained the Alchemist Wand, which allows us to spend stamina to grow plants. With it, we can grow these vine plants to climb up to the next leaf. So that's how we can climb ledges if needed when exploring. Only took me 27 days to figure it out. Another spirit vanished, and now to move on we need a piece of clay from a spirit. So I had to run quickly back to grab a piece, and now we get to fight the mother tree. After a lengthy fight, we obtained the Earth Seal, which Magic Man tells us symbolizes entrusting ourselves. He says there are 4 seals in total. Did some fishing to end the day off, and a point into Plunderer. Waldo is now asking for a spirit, a fishbow spirit. But who's Waldo? From the writing, I'm guessing it's Magic Man. In the northern part of the map, we find the Electric Temple, aka the Winter Temple. Waldo tells us how we learned to harness the power of electricity from here, but then abandoned it. To get in, we require plants that we don't have, so we gotta come back later. Kinda messed around the base for a bit, and sold a bunch of fish in my inventory. Day 29 marks the first day of summer. Our mom sends us a letter telling us she's running behind on orders and needs us to send one of the concoctions we found to her. She will then tell us how to make our own. Looks like Quill accidentally sent this note out about birthday gifts to give to people. Since it's summer, that means new summer plans to gather. Grab Tobin his snorkel. With enough moonstones in my inventory, I then made the glider and upgrade to the broom. With our concoction to Mom broken, she still gives us our own alchemy lab so we can make more and fulfill her requests. Looks like we need to put in 2 plants, ash, and a glass bottle to make our own. We then give Tobin his spirit, and in return a new lure is unlocked for us. The mythical fish lure. Wanted to test out a psychic spirit. I grabbed Shadeling to see what he can do. Look at how fast my glider goes. Traveling far east, I found this purple island. Couldn't use my sight to gather seeds, so grabbed what I could and left. After gathering a bunch of seeds, planted as many as I could. A new social point into nice person. Spent some time putting more seeds and sprinklers down. Gained my second heart with Farah. Wanted to try a full psychic team, so switched to the deer and cat. Upgrade points for intermediate spirit mancer and transformer. Looks like using a psychic team means you can cycle through cards fast and have extra energy. Wanting to give Magic Man his spirit, I grabbed a fishbow and waited. Was planting some trees and passed out, not looking at the time. But hey, at least we got Fast Talker, which allows us to talk to our people 1 more time a day. So an easy way to tell if a plant is ready to be harvested is if it has a dark outline around it, which is how I know all these water guys are ready to be picked. I then grabbed Snorkel to fill in the empty slot in my team. Tamed an Emo Shroom, Ribite, Toxito, and Tattle. Gearing up to make a poison team. Water is pretty useful since they have an armor breaker and can regen. Also got a bird brain, shrubbing captured, Marsha obtained. Interestingly, a psychic storm appeared while running on this island. So caught the Posho, Gelbell, and Mist Slime. It is a big day to catch spirits. Mom sends us a letter requesting a concoction that holds -1 vitality and +20 tame. I think we could do that for you, Mom. but I got distracted doing other things. I even went to clear the summer dungeon. Drop obtained. For our first reward, we get Alchemist Flippers, which allows us to move through water and waterfalls. Did have to run back home to make a lantern and catch a jewelfish, but it was a quick pit stop. We then face Titan, the Summer Guardian. I like his little paper boat hat. Water seal obtained. I think Magic Man says it symbolizes flexibility. Looks like our next spirit matchmaking is Guyana, who wants a poison spirit with the same haircut. With the rain, decided to expand the farm even more. Happen upon the Poison Temple, aka the Fall Temple. Another speech from Magic Man about man abusing the power of spirits. Don't have the offerings, gonna have to wait till fall to clear this temple. Tamed a Sinjin, Flambit, spiraling while grinding on the fire island. Then a point into Spirit Bond, which allows a spirit to stay in the barn one day longer if I don't feed them. A point into Transmogrifier. So when a psychic storm happens, there is a chance for special flowers to appear. It just happens none of them showed up till now. So I got tiny flower seeds and eyeberry seed. Got a new psychic spirit, Birdini. Sometimes we get funny mail like Zed asking for coffee. Sell some more resources to Zed. His museum is finally shipping up. Upgraded the hoe and watering can. The garden is producing nicely. We can turn the sea glass into bottles for our potions. Finally decided to dip my toes into making concoctions. Today was also the day I noticed that the shrines resetted or recharge. Each season they will, so you can always gain more talismans. While waiting for my potion to brew, clear a dungeon. Coming out of the dungeon, another psychic storm, and tamed a Lukachu. The next day, did some shrine hopping and then cleared this water dungeon. I want to point out that sometimes you'll see these little markers on the ground. These guys are pointing out that, hey, you should be paying attention to this. Sometimes you get secrets. A point into Peaceful Presence and Green Thumb. Big day for gathering the garden. Got our third heart with Osano. Turned in our spirit research for 8k. So for Paolo's shop, he sells a random crafting recipe which can be purchased every day for 1k. This will be useful later on, but for now it mostly gives decorations. Bought the first home upgrade, the North Wing. Then mostly grinding for levels. I finally remembered about the concoction I was supposed to make for Mom. Too bad the values were wrong as I needed -1 vitality, not +1. So I gotta remake it. Zed also is requesting his spirit an electric one. Combining a pinwheel and umbrella shroom should give us the required stats for Mom. While waiting for the potion, did some gardening and grinding. Returning at night, we now wait for morning to see what Mom says. upgrade points into Spirit Nester, Fleetfoot, and Pirate. Looks like Mom liked our potion and gives us a blueprint for a cauldron. The cauldron allows us to make special potions that gives us buffs. These mostly use spirit resources. So remember Paolo's random recipe? Well, these can unlock the other recipes inside the cauldron. Everything in this game is a crafting recipe. With the 26k burning in my pocket, I bought the west, east wing, and 2 basement upgrades. Lots of renovations for the home. I also saved up enough resources to build ourselves a greenhouse. Little plots inside to grow more plants. Some spirit grinding and even caught this bitty bolt. Look at this fluffy boy. Wanted to try a new team, so got a full poison team made. Point into hospitable herbologist. Checked out what I assume is the basement. Just a lot of space. Then went treasure hunting since I had a lot of maps just sitting in my inventory. Then a point into generous to give more gifts to my peeps. Cleo sends us a letter about a meteor shower that we can watch. Give Guyana her spirit, the emo shroom. Then bought an upgrade for the greenhouse. Spent the rest of my money on a new Moonstone site. Now no plants are safe from us. Our father's birthday is coming up and Mom wants to give him an abundance potion. The problem is we don't have the recipe to make the potion. So she's gonna have to wait. Checked out the upgraded greenhouse, some more plots, and now we have a water section. More treasure hunting, and then we went to the Dark Island where we can now gather seeds. We also see level 50 dark spirits. I only came here for the seeds, so got what I needed and booked it. A point into historic herbologist. Finally made myself a calendar so we can now see people's birthdays and if we have any events coming up. Don't know why, but I wanted to explore the edges of the map. So first the northern part. Then down the eastern part, but got distracted by the second storm. Looks like it's Osono's turn for a spirit and she wants a capacity. Tending to the garden and spirits. Then off to an electric island to catch Zed and Osono, their spirits. Before the meteor shower, had to tend to the water garden. At the meteor shower, made sure to talk to everyone before deciding to attend the meteor shower with Cleo, since my hearts with her are the lowest. In the beginning, they tell us to click on the meteors with circles around them. I wasn't paying attention, so I missed the first two. but if you click on them fast enough, they are moonstones. Zed has sent us a blueprint for a recycler after being inspired by the meteor shower. Cleo also mentions of putting the moonstones into the community chest for us. Flowers are coming in nicely. I do like that the game warns us if we are planting too close to the end of the season. Give Zed his robot with arms. As thanks, he gives us a beacon blueprint. I then give Osona her capacity. We cannot get free coffee from her, but only once a day. Since I'm finally good friends with people, I can invade their rooms. I then made a full team of electric spirits to try it out. Made a recycler and beacon. The recycler will turn stuff back into their base components. I do like how if you hover over an item, it will tell you what materials you're getting back. I'm essentially using the greenhouse to grow a bunch of XP plants. Put some extra XP fertilizer down to see its effects. Point into spirit eggs, another point into morning person. Garden tending. Got a farm barn from Paolo's random recipe, then off to clear another dungeon. With my electric team, clearing water dungeons are pretty easy. So fished up treasure chests are the same as regular chests, which means they have a chance to hold a recipe and moonstone. Asked Osana on a date since I have 9 hearts with her. Points into Ando Alkalite and extra shiny. No abundance potion from Paolo today either. Changed one of my spirits for Barkbite, which has the passive of being able to open double mines on islands. Double resources everywhere. Woo! I then went on my date with Osono. The date went pretty well. The date does end the day early, which kind of sucks. Point into healthy herbologist. Nice little letter from Osono after our date. With our hearts full for Osono, all our talking is at 100%. Ask Cleo on a date. Another miss at Paolo's today. Went around opening double mines on all the islands. Got 10 hearts with Farah. I finally noticed that we can view what seeds we have sold to Guyana and Ophelia in the corner. Miss at Palos. Then a date with Cleo at the tavern. Gotta show us all know I got options. tending to the last few days of my summer garden. Asked Farah on a date. Nothing at Palos. Went on a double mine and taming all the spirits spree. Point into intermediate angler. Looks like Quail wants a fire spirit to be paired up with. Looks like the EXP fertilizer boosted the plants by an additional 50 points. Too bad fertilizer is a one-time use. Then made the spirit storage, which allows me to access the spirits stored in Zed's tech without having to go all the way back. Spent the whole day fishing till our date with Farah. Talking to everyone about the new season. Bought the greenhouse double upgrade. With it being a new season, you guessed it, new seeds to gather for our garden. I started making chests for each of the seasons. Look at how big our greenhouse is. Glad stuff doesn't take days to build. New season means refresh shrines. Switched out my current electric team for a full water team since a lot of the dungeons are on fire islands. But first they require training. Started exploring more southwest. Also, since the water team has a bunch of regen, I don't have to heal them manually. Main con is that fights do take a while. A point into Spirit Walker. Now while walking, spirits earn XP. Added a couple more spirit grass stalls, since feeding all of them in the morning is getting tedious. Magic Man's mirror is about halfway done. Tame a rad lad who's a little radish. This is the start of the Great Water Team. Reach 10 hearts with Ophelia. Finally, we got the abundance potion from Palo. We can now make the potion for Mom. Pretty cheap to make, and we don't have to wait for it to brew, unlike the concoctions. Throw it in the shipping box and we wait. Clear a poison dungeon with the water team. Getting some good levels on my team. Looks like it's Farah's turn for a spirit. She wants a Beardini. Magic Man has noticed our clearing of the dungeons and gives us a little backstory. Sounds like the old kingdom wanted the power of the trees for themselves and built the guardians as a way to keep everyone out. So we get a warp tree where we can use the whistle to get back quickly. This might come in use later. Mom says the birthday gift was a huge success and we get a compost bin to make our own fertilizer. Pretty easy to make fertilizer too with enough spirit resources. Make a couple of psychic sight potions which will allow me to see where the psychic storm spawned. We can now get some of them special seeds. Point into Hardy Herbologist. Essentially turn the greenhouse into an EXP farm. Each season the vegetation gets better. Like the Will-O-Wisp gives 250 EXP instead of 50, so it'll get easier to level spirits up instead of grinding. Greenhouse upgrade. Using my water team, grind on some of the higher level islands. That's how you can get a bunch of level 20 and 30 spirits that fight these 50 and 60 level spirits. Double the greenhouse space means more EXP plants to grow. Today is the day we attempt to fight the Dark Island. We do kinda have to get lucky getting regen cards, but once they are set up, we are essentially immortal to them. I mean, some of us did get knocked out, but shoving enough food into them is good enough. Through hard work, we were able to get a dark egg, since taming them is essentially impossible right now. Point into Expert Spearmancer. It's been a while since we collected from Zed, and we get a little over 10k from him. 10 hearts with Cleo. Back to the Dark Island to explore more. We eventually stumble upon the Maw. Not really wanting to interact with it, we walk around it, but this will have an important part to play later on. Looks like Mom wants another concoction to settle a bet. Since we took on a dark spirit, Zed congrats us and gives us a spirit brush blueprint so we can make our spirits happy. One quick craft later and we can now brush. Brushing gives the spirit a higher chance to drop a resource of some sort. Knowing how strong my team is, I decided to clear fire dungeons. Another dungeon cleared and Magic Man's mirror is 3/4 completed. So close. Point into ideal ingots. Our dark egg finally hatched and look, it's a coffee cup. Hopefully he lays more eggs so we can have a full dark team. Home maintenance and another dungeon cleared. We really stacking up on energy now. Cleo wants a spirit now, but it's gonna have to be a dark spirit, which means we ain't doing that anytime soon. Another dungeon cleared and 500 energy. I've been stockpiling moonstones for quite a while. It's now time to spend them all by making them into that sweet, sweet spirit grass. Which means I won't have to come in and feed them all. Completed the fall seed list. Look at all my seeds. With all my extra moonstones, I made some into bars and then into trinkets. Now I'll be immune on dark and fire islands. Another fire dungeon cleared. I then ran into Zed and he's giving us extra credit by seeing if we can discover every single spirit in the game. Point into Master Spirit Mancer. Now every spirit will be tamed. Point into Treasure Trove. Quick update, we are 15 out of 30 on dungeons and 71 out of 92 spirits discovered. Almost there. 10 hearts with Zed. Remembering that the Fall Temple is still standing, let's go clear it. Tame the snap plant. For our first prize, we gain the boomerang, which stuns spirits and harvest seeds from afar. It's got pretty good range. The final boss is the Snapdragon. Pretty easy fight and poison seal is obtained. Magic Man then tells us moderation is everything. Point into Hefty Herbologist. Point into More Than a Crush. Looks like this month's event is a cooking contest where Zaffron will come in and taste our meals. Get a shim for Quill and he thanks us. Now we get free beers on Friday. Very nice. Sold Osana a lasagna I made. Now we can get family recipes from people, but we gotta figure out the correct ingredients. Since we got our last shard from the dungeon, we can now repair Magic Man's mirror. Once repaired and stepped through, we are back to the rift. Alrighty then. Dungeons give the same reward except no more shards. Today Farah gets her Berdini. As things, we gain an upgraded furnace blueprint. Then cleared another dungeon. Thought I could have multiple greenhouses. But no, you can't. They all go to the same place. Second floor expanded. A lot of dark spirit grinding for more eggs. Wanted to make a dark team to take on the last electric dungeons. Tried the loom, which allows you to make custom flooring and wallpaper. But it makes one piece at a time. So I quickly gave up on that since I don't have time or patience. Wanted to redecorate the area, so I made a cauldron brewing place and a kitchen. For the festival, I made some spirit-scented soup, since I thought it would be unique. Look at this event and everyone's dishes. Seems like my dish was decent, but not the best. Osana sends us a letter about us not winning, but we get a consolation prize. Giving the family soup to Farah, she's so excited for it. Made some of the new furnaces. Takes half the time to smelt and can even smelt more at the same time. Decided to make some decorative paths around. Just to give us a little flair. Point into hurried herbologist. Check in the community chest. We gain a token of affection, which given will increase our relationship points with someone and a juicer. I then give Osana a Moonstone bracelet, which now makes her my girlfriend. She now calls me babe. Make the juicer and decided to put it in the kitchen. Seems the juicer makes alcohol to help us with our socialization. How fun. Too bad I'm maxed with a lot of people already. Woo! Day 80. Only 20 more days. Got a couple of dark eggs hatched. Look, we got the cat and a new puppet. With 3 dark spirits, time to power level them. Time to test them in this electric dungeon. Some of their skills are RNG based, which is fun, but they do deal tons of damage. Another electric dungeon cleared. Been a while since I turned in my research, so I got 12k. I wonder where Zed gets all this money. Then I got a Moonstone hammer. Another dungeon cleared. Then my date with Osana, where I spent the night with her. Point into intermediate angler. Ooh, I wake up in Osana's room. Daily chores. Another dungeon cleared. Point into Dungeon Dasher. Point into Quality Produce. Another electric dungeon cleared. Man, these dungeons take all day to clear. We've made it to the first day of winter. Ophelia's turned for a spirit and she wants an ice spirit. It being the first day of winter, time for new seeds. Also to find ice spirits, they can only show up in winter and they have a chance of spawning on water islands. Like this icy. Tame the Penguin Whistler. Electric Island for electric seeds. Fire Island for fire seeds. Then lastly, the Dark Island. Checked out the IC cards and Whistler. Look at all these EXP plants in the greenhouse. Run around for the day, then at night use a Psychic Sight potion to get the Psychic Winter plants. Thankfully it spawned on a poison island, so 2 birds with 1 stone. With it being winter, we now have the plants to access the Winter Temple. Looks like Sparky was the special spirit inside the temple. Our first reward is the teleporter, which allows us to travel short distances. To move forward, we do need a cinderfish, so to a fire island real quick. Making it to the end, we fight the sun, sparking. Pretty easy fight, honestly. The seal represents knowledge. The seal teaches us that wisdom is beautiful but can be dangerous. Magic Man then tells us to complete the ritual, which he couldn't. 2-step through the mirror, place the seals, and close the rift. But before doing that, I got more ice spirits to catch. Like this Glevum. Got a Huggy. I thought Cleo wanted this Flamane, but it looks like she wants a different wolf spirit. Spirit Barn was getting cramped, so bought the upgrades for the big and huge Spirit Barn. We'll need to save resources up for the massive Spirit Barn. Wanting to clear the rift Magic Man was talking about, I switched over to my water team, then went to the rift and started placing the seals. Just before the rift closes, this guy shows up. Of course it wasn't going to be that simple. Oh god, that dark ray. Prioritizing healing, this was a simple fight after the first few rounds. With over 100 healing and it always increasing, essentially if they can't one-shot us, we are immortal. Who cares if you got a raid to reduce our health to 1, we'll just heal it back up. Which is why water is so overpowered and the true eldritch of the game, not the hand. We might take forever to banish him, but we will eventually. Magic Man then thanks us for closing the rift as it saves the world. He thanks us for this thankless service and dips. Clear the poison temple to round the day off. Showing up to the tavern for my night with Osono, it seems like everyone knows I was the one who closed the rift. Seems like Waldo was talking to everyone for me. Seems Osono and Waldo were best friends before he lost his mind. Point into bright and early. In the morning, Waldo sends us a letter thanking us for being patient with him. He also gives us a new invention he made, the Moonstone gumball machine, which produces moonstones every 3 days. Woo! Now we just gotta make a bunch of them so we don't have to worry about moonstones anymore. It literally is just a gumball machine full of moonstones. Look at how much space our spirit barn has now. It seems Waldo has moved back into town, so now we don't have to wait for him to show up. He also thanks us for taking care of Asano. So one of my goals before the 100 days is to tame every single spirit in the game, which is why I spent a bunch of resources setting up as many eggs as possible. Dropple also gets this super rare card called Big Hug. Tamed a Sobatin. Bongwin tamed. Point into best produce. Look at that, our first Moonstones. Osono then sends us a letter thanking us for saving everyone by closing the rift and wants to throw a huge party as a celebration. Nice, we got a party in our honor. Another dungeon cleared. With day 91 coming upon us and only 9 days left, let's talk about the last goals I want to achieve. First, clearing all the dungeons. Second, discovering all the spirits in the game currently. Thirdly, getting everyone their spirits. Lastly, upgrading the house and spirit barn to the max. So another day, another dungeon cleared. Point into Dungeon Master and Ore Galore. Looks like lastly, Rowan is now getting his spirit and wants us to pick one for him. Look at all my hatched spirits. Would you also look at that? We got our first shiny spirit. Yes, there are shinies in this game. They are just really rare. But hey, Dusty is now shiny. This Kiwi Watt looks really messed up. Clear another dungeon. Man, this teleporter is so nice to use. Found another dungeon and quickly cleared it. Only 3 more to go and 7 more spirits to discover. Bought the massive spirit barn. Dungeon cleared. The massive spirit barn essentially doubled the space. Bought the Moonstone watering can, since I got so many extra Moonstones now. Another dungeon cleared and we have 800 energy now. Just 1 more dungeon to go. Decided to move all my Moonstone machines into the basement. Bought the attic. Spend some time gathering more resources for home upgrades and messing around in the kitchen. Upgraded a bunch of the stalls into moongrass ones, just so I wouldn't have to worry about feeding them. I then went exploring for the last dungeon, which was hidden on these small broken islands. But since it was an electric dungeon, I will have to wait a day since I was planning on running around on the fire islands looking for the last fire spirit. We of course found it, the fire spirit Lucerna. We then attended the party for closing the rift. Just everyone giving us their thanks, but that was about it. Give Ophelia her spirit, the Whistler. Give Rowan a Pom Bomb, since I felt like he needs a dog to protect him. He gives us dancing shoes to use, so we can now bust a move wherever we want. Cleared up the spirit barn, so any spirit elements that I don't need to discover I put away to make room for eggs. While clearing the last dungeon, I found a shiny Cumulo. Look at him, he's all purple. 820 energy for clearing all the dungeons. With all the dungeons cleared, Osono congrats us and she tells us about how we are ready to clear her basement. even though I've been clearing it already. Wrong basement, but her actual basement is cursed, since it used to house a secret rift worshipping cult down there, so now we gotta deal with it. After the daily chores, let's check out her basement. Huh, neat. Essentially, it's just an endless run of spirits. After clearing each round, we get a small reward. Every 5 rounds, we face a mini-boss. Where we get a slightly bigger reward. Thankfully, we found the last fire spirit, this prickle. We made it to round 8 before doing something else. Spend some time on the Dark Islands, trying to discover the last dark spirits and get Cleo her dark spirit. Point into Expert Angler. Sold a bunch of crystals I've been hoarding for 9k. Hallow was selling a fishbowl statue for 1 million coins. Bought double basement upgrades. Then went basement clearing again. Where every 10 levels we face a boss and get double rewards. This endless mode is really good for finding new spirits and helping me complete my quest. Made it to round 30 before doing something else. We only now need to discover one last ice spirit. It's day 100. Let's see how far we can go before we end the day. Look at how big my basement is now. Mom sends us a letter saying our alchemist training is almost done, and if we met anyone, they would love to meet them. I then spent the entire day looking for the last ice spirit. And we did. It was Grampus. Now I know it's already past 100 days, but I'm just going to add a couple more days to show finishing some things off. Day 101, I caught Cleo's Wolfbane. Giving it to her, we only receive 500 coins. Yep, that's it. Mom sends us a letter with the blueprint for a Moonstone wedding ring to give to that special someone and to make sure to invite them to the wedding. Zed also congrats us on finding every single spirit in the game, and we get the Science Center home. To finish off the game, I then make the Moonstone wedding ring and give it to Osono. She says yes, and the wedding will be on Sunday. Fast forwarding to Sunday, and it's the big day. We also get to choose a dress. Nice attention to detail. I picked the one with the bow. What a nice wedding, and look at everyone in their wedding attire. After the wedding, Osono now lives with us. With the wedding done, I believe this is a good way to end my 100 days. With starting our first days as an alchemist crashing and breaking our parents' broom, to saving the world by closing the rift, fighting every spirit, and getting married, I hope you enjoyed these 100 days of Moonstone Island. We did have to go over 100 days just a little bit, but oh well, Moonstone Island is a fun game. If you want to play this game, you of course can find it on Steam. Most of all, thank you for watching. If you made it this far, consider subscribing and doing the YouTube things. Also, check the description on how you can support me. But if anything, I hope you have a wonderful day.